That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Speaking of, if you haven't watched it already, you should go and check out the interview with migraines on our podcast. But let's get it kicked off here. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in with us here at DWAI, where we talk about everything that you shouldn't worry about. Um, my co host, Jeremy, and I, Jeremy, today we're going to talk about 3D printing. Um, so, I kind of wanted to kick this off because there's a company called 100 Concepts, and damn, I just missed out on 15% off my first order. No, I've actually bought stuff from them before, but the company does little accessories and stuff for guns, and their whole idea is to, I guess, like they're most famous for their light cap, which basically it's just like a little cap that goes over your weapon light. And so that way you can prevent accidental discharges. But they recently came up with this product called the Hex Cap. It's a little 3D printed cover piece that you can put onto different kinds of little micro red dots. I think they're also going to be making them for scopes as well. And this is much more common on scopes. So I remember the first time I really messed around with anything like this was with an aim point. Aim points, they have like a little thread in hex cap that helps keep the reflective light off your front lens so that, when you're in combat, you're not going to give away your position. So they make these for scopes. They make these for ACOGs. Like ACOGs are really,
Oh yeah.
common. You commonly see these on those. So this company's like, well, why don't we make some for like, red dots? So if you see in the list here, there's Hollow Suns, Sig Romeos, Steiner MPS, Trijicon MRO, uh, Leopold, Aimpoint, the Acro P2. They make it for, I think some of the Hollow Suns are also compatible with Aimpoint Micro, like T1, T2, and stuff. So here's the thing. It's my buddy was talking to me about this, and when we saw the release of this, he was like, "Damn it!" It's like, "Oh, I could have done this," and like, they're charging $30 per cap
Yeah.
for just a little 3D printed cover. And it's like, I don't think they're using anything like too crazy in terms of materials that would like increase the cost a lot. I'm pretty sure it's just like, I honestly don't even know. Like, it's like some kind of filament or something. So, you know, it's like, I don't really understand like the whole manufacturing process. I just know that it's not as it doesn't cost $30 to print a tiny little piece of plastic. Am I correct on this, or what's
Yeah. I mean,
the deal here?
there's a lot going into it, right? But like, well, my first thought is before I get into that is this the new Magpul? Like,
Um,
like not Magpul as a company, obviously, but like,
yeah.
Magpul as a product, because that's how Magpul started, was making Magpuls.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I would say
because
it's not the new Magpul, but I can
because
see what you're
I see
saying.
what your buddy is saying. It's like if he had started this and then mass produced it, like he could have made the next Magpul or be the
Yeah.
next Magpul. Like for
Hmm.
somebody like small scale, like this is perfect, right? Because like I've thought about it, it's like, hey, what is the next thing? Like, what's the next thing everybody wants or everybody needs that could be, applicable and mass produced to a level that gets big, i.e., Magpuls, right? Like they kind of luck, I guess, but like they got big strictly by like making little plastic pieces. But anyways, getting back to this, yeah, I mean, there's different filaments, right? So 3D printing, um, your filaments are just thermal plastics, anything that melts and then you print. So there, if I was gonna do this and I was gonna quote unquote like charge people more, I would probably print it out of flexible filament because that's a little more unique, right? Like then it's something that you can just snap over. Like it looks like it's just a snap on, right? Like
Yeah.
because like a lot of these things don't even have like mounting holes or screws. So I think if they're just making out of hard plastic, I mean it works, but it just you're right. It wouldn't cost $30 to make this, even designing
So
it. wouldn't
This
cost
company,
$30.
I
I
mean,
could make this. You know what? I could go. I bet you if I started now, I could have one designed and probably printed up before this podcast is over.
yeah, I mean, like this company, um, they shoot, it's their Instagram. They basically like they don't only do 3D printed stuff. It's just that like the stuff that they make
Yeah,
that's 3D printed is like the most I guess what they're known for.
yeah.
So like it's funny because their name is 100 concepts, but it's like I don't think they actually have 100 products, right? So so
Yeah,
like but like
it's 100 concepts. That doesn't mean they
yeah.
all make it to product, right? So they probably have like 100 ideas, but then only like five of them are good.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, because they actually don't have that many products. Like they have the light cap and the scope cap, which are basically the same thing but different
Right.
sizes, and then the hex cap, and then they have
Which
these
is
like
also the
scrim,
same thing.
which is basically yeah, and then this isn't even a product they make; it's just something they sell. And then they have this chem light kit, which is kind of cool, but only if you don't need that many chems. So like because it'll only fit like I think like six in a sleeve or something like that. It's a good concept, but basically it's like aside from that, that's pretty much
So,
all they actually make. Like
does it give you
otherwise,
like
there's
a
other
pull
stuff.
tab for Chem Light? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so you see how like there's like ridges and then
Uh,
some are smooth. That helps you distinguish color. And
mm,
like basically the pull tab goes onto the bottom of a chem light. But that also means that when you drop it, it's like especially because these are not very cheap. Like it's $30 for this kit, right? So like those tabs, if you drop a chem light, supposedly you know you have to assume that you're gonna lose it. Like it's the tab is gone. This
I feel like
sleeve
I
is just to
can.
cover.
I feel like I can 3D print that cheaper.
Yeah, the sleeve is basically like to keep
Right.
UV from hitting it. So it's like I think that's a cool concept, but also if you use up all the chems, I'm not sure that it's. Well, I guess this is the tab that like retains it. Um, but you like I said, you can only fit like six, I think, like six
Yeah.
chem lights inside this tab, and then pretty much it's like, well, like I'm pretty sure
How
that
many
people
more do
who
you
need to
need
use.
though? Like,
I
realistically speaking.
mean, Ready or Not gives you 10, okay, and I
Yeah.
still think that 10 is like not that like like when I ran chems at Darcy, I was like, I mean, I had like 15 at least every run, and like I was like wasting through them. Like, I mean, I probably spent like 6 to 10 on every like run basically. So, and also you have like different bundles and stuff too for like different types of signaling and stuff, and so I don't know. I mean, I guess you could run multiples of these. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's fine, but it's definitely one of those things where I'm like, this is a rich man's game if you really start adding up everything.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, why didn't they just 3D print it? I feel like I feel like you could just 3D print holders and then like make
Yeah.
them modular and you can just keep stacking them and then just have a
Hey,
bunch.
hey,
But
that's DWI's next product that's we're releasing. It's gonna be like a little tab distinguisher that go onto the bottom of your chem lights and yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. Like if you printed a little tab at the bottom of your chem light to indicate what color it was, and
Yeah.
it had a little hole that you could put your finger in to pull the chem light off, then how much do you think it would cost you per unit to make?
I mean, like after designing it, it would be like cents to actually
Yeah, yeah,
print,
like you
right?
already
Like
have the finished design,
it
and
would be
you just gonna sit there and just print them out
I
all
guess
day.
with like time. I mean, like if you just strictly talk about material, it would be like a less than a buck, right? Like depending, like it'll probably be like a buck or less than a
Hmm.
buck. Probably way less. It would be in the sense, like I said, depending on how expensive your filament is. But like calculating in like time, you'd have to calculate time, the time it takes to print it, electricity, all that, like cost, right? Operating cost. But even then, it would costs still in the dollar, like single digit dollar range to make one. And then so if you're selling them as a pack, like let's say you sell like 10 for like $20, even then you're still making like a
Yeah.
stupid amount of profit. You're still making like 100% or more than 100% markup, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like basically what it is that like, because especially for those chem light tabs, since it's essentially disposable, because like,
Right.
you
You would
crack a
want it
chem
to
light,
be
it's done. Yeah.
disposable. Yeah.
So like, what would be like a good cost ratio balance to make it so that it's like, oh, people actually feel like I can actually use these and just throw them away and not think a second thought about, oh, I gotta go back and collect the little tabs on my chem light to put on other chem lights,
I
right?
think you could get it down to like 25 to 50 cents per. Like,
See, like
yeah,
that to me, that's
and then
disposable, right?
you would sell it as like a pack of like 50, for like 25 to $30, right? So it's like it comes basically under a dollar, right? So it's like if you get it back, great. If you don't, it's disposable enough. Um
Mhm.
because like, and depending on how small it is, it's like if your printer is big enough, like you can print in a bed, right? Because you don't have to print just one. Your entire bed could be filled with these. So like
Yeah,
one print session could print you like 20 of them. And then you can be
yeah,
like, okay, there's one batch of order. And then you can
yeah,
print them in different color and like whatever sizes. So
yeah. Because
that's not a bad idea. You know what? We need to look into this.
yeah, because like I mean, if you look at the Chemlight kit
Mhm.
refill, it it's six
$8.
packs
Yeah.
cost $16.
Oh. Is it two or
Six.
six? Oh,
So
six for
so these
16.
are the
So it's over two
these are the
dollars per.
yeah,
It's on the level where you could justify it, but it is a rich man's game. You're right.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I would say a dollar would be closer to like, hey, this is good to
Yeah.
dispose. Like $2 when you're getting to like McDonald's cheeseburger level, that's not disposable.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just thought it was an interesting concept because it's like this.
You do bring up an interesting point though. So it's like, and this is something I struggle with, especially with like the stuff we do, like the Halo guns and whatnot, the custom like accessories. It's that like I want to share and I want to help people, but like I also want to make money, right?
Yeah.
So it's like because it's like right like and 100 concepts must run into the same idea. It's like nothing stops them, or rather like not how do I phrase this? It's like they're overpricing the product because they're making it fine, right? That's their prerogative. But it's like they can't it's like if I make it like the 3D the caps, right? It's like if I just freely give out the design, anybody could do it, right? Or even if I charge it. But the problem is once it goes out there, it's like you're not making money. It's not like a license, right? It's not like you're paying for like a Photoshop, right? Where it's like you don't just buy once and you're good. You have to, it's a subscription model. So same thing with like 3D printing. Like once it's out in the and into the atmosphere, into the internet, it's out there, right? Anybody can
Well,
download for
yeah.
free.
So I
So
basically like it's like they're in like that really like I guess in between moment where 3D printing isn't it's not quite like a household like item like a toaster, but it's kind
mhm.
of getting there, right? Like
It
like
is. I
3D
think it
printers
is.
are getting like a lot more affordable and like more people are getting interested in like learning how to 3D model and like making like their own little gizmos and gadgets, and you can also just like download files like you said and just print out whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
And so right now they're at that moment where like let's say somebody out there is interested in getting a hex cap for $30 and or I mean well they're interested in getting a hex cap but they're not going to go out and buy a $200 printer, buy filament and then like try to like CAD design a hex cap. Instead they can just spend $30 for like one or two hex caps for a couple optics they have, and then it's like after 30 or $60, it's like I have what I need. I don't need, and I'm not printing stuff every day, right? Like not every person is like a that kind of like deep level hobbyist that can
Yeah,
spend the
it is a
money.
deep level hobby. It's not
Yeah.
quite. I don't think it's quite 3D printing is quite like true like everyday hobbyist. It's getting there. but it still takes a lot. It took me like 2 years to be like good at 3D printing, I would say. And even then, like I still have failed prints. Like I still not as good as like some other people. Like I am really impressed and jealous of people that can just like, oh yeah, hit print and be like, blah, 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 I did this. Like they have it all set up perfectly. The settings are perfect. They figure out the right temperature, speed, all that, blah, blah, blah. And then they just hit print and it just comes out. They peel it out and then they're like, oh, look, it's done. They don't even have to do any post processing. I'm like super jealous of that. Like sometimes I have to get really tricky with how I design items because of the inherent kind of like deficiencies of 3D printing or additive printing that like I have to make either something stand up right or make supports that help it kind of form without uh basically drooping or melting or breaking. Anyways,
So what you're telling me is that the hex caps are totally worth it. Add to cart.
um, I mean, to a sense, yes. Like don't go out and do this, right? Like if you're just looking for one off, two off, like you said. But it is getting to the point where it's like if you have an idea, if you need something like this, and you have ideas or you have a want for 3D printing and to try other things, you could jump into and do it yourself, right? Like nothing is that special.
Dude, just make your own Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know if they're actually 3D printed though. I mean, or they're post processing. I guess they probably like sandblasted because it's like it looks more like injection to me. Like if you look at it closely, it doesn't have like the lines,
Mhm.
or it's like because it doesn't have like the layer lines. So maybe it's probably just their post processing. That's probably just the paint or the finish they
Mhm.
use.
Yeah, I think it
So
is like just how they finish it, but
yeah, but
I'm like pretty sure this is printed stuff. It's
yeah, I mean, even if it's not, but the idea still stands. You can just print it yourself, like
yeah,
like it, especially that, like something like that, I could probably have it done in like an hour,
yeah.
like prototype. And that's the cool part about 3D printing. It's a rapid prototype, right? Um,
I actually, when they first released this, I almost bought one because I wanted to put a one of these ARDs on an Aimpoint T1 that I have on a Sims gun.
mhm.
And basically, it's like, well, the funny thing is that apparently, according to some people that I talked to that do a lot of simunition stuff, Aimpoint T1s, the glass is buff enough that you don't need to like protect it or anything. But then they were like, everybody who has EOTechs, listen up. You're going to need to put some clear packing tape over the front of the EOTech area to protect the glass.
No, that's
And
pretty
like,
funny.
I saw somebody who had a micro red dot. They like had the glass was shattered from a sim round, and I was like, oh, what optic is that? And they were like, oh, I don't know, because they had like a little rubber cover over it. I peeled the rubber cover back, vortex.
Hey,
So,
hey, that's fine because EOTech still work with cracked glass.
oh yeah, you're right. You don't need it. You don't need
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's
But
it's a it's a feature, not a bug.
yeah, but I thought that the hex cap is would be a cool option for simunition protection
No, I would.
if you use like red dots for that
And you
purpose.
don't
Because
have to use the airsoft little clear plexiglass in front of your
yeah,
optic.
yeah. I was also thinking that well, I mean, it would reduce some of the output, but putting something like this over a light would also be good because I had one of my Surefire lights recently got cracked from a Sims impact. And I had actually put clear plaque, like a few layers of clear packing tape over the lens too, and it still smashed the lens.
Yeah,
Surefire gave me a repair. Like I sent in my light head and they repaired it for me, but it was still kind of a pain in the butt to like have to do that. So having something like this protect the front of like lenses and stuff, I think is like pretty useful for
yeah.
simunitions and stuff like that.
If you don't use it, if you don't use the light too long, like you have no basically fear of overheating. Yeah, it will
Mhm.
work pretty well for a light.
Yeah.
Because the problem is like that, and I think that again, that's the limitation of 3D printing right now. Is that since they're all thermal plastics,
Yeah.
there are metal ones, but it's not quite like household or hobbyist yet. But since they're all plastic, like you can't. It's hard to make like gun parts with it, even though you could, but it
Hmm.
just doesn't last as long. So like you can't print a barrel. I mean, you can, but you can't really print a repeatable barrel out of uh, 3D printing yet. So
How
you
many
still,
rounds do you think we can get out of a barrel before it's like toast?
well, I mean, depends, right? So like you would get a decent first shot and probably like maybe that's it, but like you would still be able to shoot. You would just essentially have a smooth bore or like a busted barrel,
Hmm.
So again, for a zip gun, like you can make the modern Liberator is what it is, right? Like it's something that is good for a few shots and then enough to basically get a gun with.
Yeah.
But yeah, like pivoting a little bit to 3D printing. There, I was just browsing. Oh, not that. I was just browsing. Uh, looking for topic, and I saw this. Apparently, this is kind of relevant. Some guy from Minnesota is facing 2 felonies for possessing privately made firearms lacking serial numbers, even though it's
Whoa.
not illegal. So just thought that was interesting, for
Wait.
people that
Hold on. You can hold on. Two felony private. Wait. So they're 3D printed guns,
I don't know if they're 3D
or
printed. I just thought
because
like that was interesting. Like,
like somebody was talking to me about this before, but basically they were saying that it's not illegal to file off the serial numbers on your own guns because personal defamation of your own property isn't illegal.
yeah, and then they're apparently like on the thread I saw like in West Virginia, yeah, they ruled that I guess it's not illegal to remove your own serial,
Hmm.
but that's another whole nother debate. But
Yo, that
um,
gun is sick. The
so this is the other this
Titanfall.
this actually perfectly lines up with the topic at hand. Is that first I'm upset because I had the idea to make this. It's actually it's actually on my work. I was gonna make a Titanfall gun, the R301 or 101, whichever one, and then somebody beat me to it. It is a 22, but it's still pretty cool.
You're not
Um,
working fast enough. Quit doing these stupid
yeah,
podcasts and get back to work.
I was gonna make it out of 9 mil, but yeah, he made it out of 22, which is a lot easier, and probably I should have just done that. But either way, yeah, and he's trying to figure out if it's legal. So this guy made an R301 for you audio listeners out there. This guy made a body kit essentially for a 22 rifle to make the Apex or Titanfall R301 assault rifle. And he's asking, trying to figure out if it's legal to sell the files for this body kit. Anyone know for certain if it's legal in Virginia before I put them up? So that runs in like that's the problem I run into is that like it first of all it's not illegal to sell it because you're not selling the firearm, right? Like I don't think he 3D printed the whole thing where he's just putting a Ruger 1022 in there. So as long as he's not somehow printed a Ruger 1022, he'll be fine. And even then, printed files for guns are still like in a gray zone. It's not illegal, but it just gets frowned upon. But if he's just selling the body kits, that's completely legal. Like nothing stops him from doing that. The problem he'll run into is that the moment he sends it out, like how is he gonna like make money or protect? I mean, it's not his copyright either, right? Because it's like he obviously isn't EA or Respawn, so he doesn't own Apex Legends. So he can't advertise it obviously as Titanfall, Apex Legends. So as long as he doesn't do that, then he should still be good. But again, once he sends it out into the internet, it's now free for anybody to take. So like
Well,
basically
that's
like piracy.
it.
Like how do
Basically,
you combat piracy is the
I mean, that's the same sort of subscription model as like OnlyFans, for instance. Like
right,
that
exactly.
shit can get leaked, right? So then it's just like, oh, well, why would I like subscribe if I can just like look around online and like get the leaked copies? But I guess it's like one of those things where I guess partly that you have to kind of trust that there is like good people out there who will actually pay for the file and like it is essentially a donation system at that
Yeah,
point,
yeah.
right? It's like, oh, am I gonna just look around for the leaked file, or am I gonna like actually just donate money to this dude because I know up to a certain point that I could get it for free, but I'm going to like give you money anyway.
Yeah, which is I think what I'm leaning towards too. Either like just set up like a Patreon, or I'll just have it out there and just have a donation link. Be like, hey, if you like it, donate. But the
You're so
problem is it's
greedy,
like,
dude. How dare you get paid for work that you did?
yeah, I mean that's really essentially the problem where it comes to like I would like to do this as a living, but it's so like touchy. Like you can't uh, because it's like there's no guarantee you're making money off it unless you're straight up making it yourself, right? Like if I could manufacture complete Halo kits or complete rifle or like body kits for guns, and then people buy and they're actual drop fits, right? Then it's okay. And I think that's the other problem. Like it's like even if I, how many people are gonna buy it because you know because they're able to make it. You get what I'm saying? Like we were just talking about it. Like
Yeah, I
not it's
mean,
not household enough and everybody isn't a power user to be able to like A have the equipment to print it and B be able to like finish it.
that's probably the whole argument of like, whether they would be willing to put through all the work to do it. But the thing is, since like, you're making a much more niche product, because like the 100 concepts light caps and the hex caps and stuff, those are made for products that like a
It
lot
already
of people
exists,
out
yeah.
there have. Whereas like, I mean, a lot of people have RDBs, but it's like how many people of those people who own RDBs are also interested in turning it into a battle rifle? It's like that's an exceedingly small niche of a market. So that kind
Yeah.
of makes it a little more difficult in the sense that it's like, well, if you do put it out there, I mean, even if people have the capability, it's like, well, they would also have to have a like an RDB and like want to like make it into.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
and that's kind of like again the problem. And that but that's more of a I guess logistical and like business model problem. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting problem, and the reason I haven't released the like kind of files is that none of my files are like baked and ready to go. Like they're not plug and play. Is that they're pieces that I cobble together. Like I still need a lot. I still need a lot of work in them, right? Like I put in insets, I put in screw inserts so I can screw them together. A lot of them still needs custom fitting. Like glue, lots and lots of epoxy, and yeah, and even then it's like the finishing I do on them, it takes a lot of work, so it's like I can't, they're just like random pieces. It's not like you go on like Thingiverse or Yiggy and be like, oh, I want this, and it's like, oh, you just hit print, like, oh, here's a Hera kit for Glock because somebody like 1-to-1 copied it and you print it out and you just dropped it. No, it's like they're like legit in random pieces that you have to figure out and put together, and most of them aren't even in the right sizes because I just get it close enough and I was like, I'll just file it to fit, everything. So hey, my guns are custom hand fitted. That's
Wow.
how that works. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Custom
It's a
hand
feature,
fitted.
not a bug.
Yeah. Uh, this is gonna be TOS.
Yeah,
Custom hand fitted built
yeah, it's
TOS.
fine. It's 30
Yeah.
minutes in the recording. The manual reviewer usually probably don't go this far, so I think we're good.
Unless they're a fan.
Uh,
They're like, yeah, I get to preview.
yeah, if you're a fan, then stop demonetizing our videos.
Yeah. Um,
But
yeah, I was
it is
gonna
cool
say
though.
like so the files that you have are basically useless for that one guy on YouTube that commented where file.
Yeah. So and that's the reason. It's like I'm trying to find. I mean, I might still do it, but I do want to make it better. I guess. Like, let me figure out a better system for this. But oh, here's a comment, right? And that's something I do wanted to talk about on another video, but I think it works here. So it's like the copywriting issue. You can run into copy. Someone says you could run into copyright issue if the publisher gets wind of it. They usually don't care about free stuff, but once you start charging money for it, they have to care, or it can weaken their copyright claims. Blah blah blah. C and D. So, but like the funny thing is, it's like usually stuff like this. It's like you technically don't have the copy. So like the Halo gun, for example, right? Like the BR, the assault rifle, right? Like you could sell as a kid, this R301. It's like I think, and don't quote me on it because I'm not a lawyer, but from doing enough research and looking into it, as long as you don't say what it's from, they can't stop you because they're not in the firearms or real life, IRL accessory business. Like, so if I want to sell my RDB, BR files, kits, as long as I say it's like from hit Space Ring game, there's nothing they can do about it because I'm not using because Halo is the registered trademark. I don't even know if Halo can be registered. I need to look it up. It probably is, but like Halo is too common use. Like you can't copyright or trademark common use words. Like look it up. Like there's people that try to trademark colors, and you just can't do that. Or copyright colors. Same thing. I think a famous case is like Colt tried to trademark Commando, and then that got shut down because Commando is a common word. You can't trademark a common word. So I don't even think
I
Halo
thought they
or
also
Master
tried to
Chief.
get M4
Yeah,
or
they
something
did.
like
And
that.
then they were
Yeah.
like, you can't do numbers either because M4
Yeah.
is like a common number. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, and they tried this all the time. Like lots of companies tried this all the time because it's common use. Like Google's don't want people to say Google it because once people start saying Google it enough, then it becomes common use and they lose their trademark, funnily
Mm.
enough. So that's the same thing. Anyway, so like Master Chief, you could probably even say Master Chief and like and you could say battle rifle, you could say assault rifle because those are all common. And at the end of the day, they're not a firearms company, so you can have the same name in competing like not in non-competing industries basically. So you could have Microsoft bagels, but since Microsoft doesn't
Uh,
make bagels like or food,
yeah.
you'd be good. Um, so essentially, all I'm saying is I could register Mishraia Armory as a trademark and start selling Halo guns, and I don't think Bungie or Microsoft can do anything about it. They will probably throw up a stink and maybe sue me to court, but they would lose. But I won't be able to win because I don't have the money to fight them.
Wow. Big tech wins again, I
I
guess.
know. Yeah, because they can just throw money. That's a problem. It's that even if they're not good, even if they're wrong, they can just throw money at the lawsuit so that you would never win. And I think that's the scarier part of it. So it's like because for trademark and copyright to work on something like this, it's like they would need a working model to essentially be like, hey, they're infringing on our patent, trademark, copyright, because like, you know, uh, we have a working gun and he has a working gun, but they don't.
So this is how we trick all the big tech lib companies into becoming firearms manufacturers.
Yeah.
Wait, no, but then we'd be giving them guns. Ah, it's
I mean,
like
if there's an actual lawyer, if there's an actual copyright or trademark lawyer that somehow listens to us, hit me up or just put in a comment below. Like, what do you think? Because it's like, I'm pretty sure from all the research and like, from all the research I've done, there's a lot more nuance like going in it than just, oh, you're copying a design from a game. Like, because it would be different if it's like, oh, I 3D printed an M4, right? Okay, that's an issue because that an M4 is actually licensed or patented by whoever owns it, Hold or Stoner or whatever. But like something like the Halo assault rifle or this R301 isn't. So like I'm pretty sure they can't get you on anything other than just throwing money at the problem until it goes away.
All right, well, then that's what we're gonna have to do.
It is an interesting topic, though. I think, like you said, as 3D printing gets more and more prevalent, you're going to run into more and more files out there and more access to being able to print gun and gun parts. And I frankly think it's super cool. Um, just
Still
hope they
waiting
don't
for
ban it.
somebody to print a metal Splinter Cell suppressor compensator for me.
Metal printing's getting there, though. Let's see. Like, like there is a $2,000 metal printer.
Oh,
Uh,
that's actually pretty affordable. Like,
uh,
I mean, I mean, think about it though. Like $2,000. Like I would have considered something like this to be like, you know, I mean,
no. I haven't, yeah, I haven't gotten to the fine print caveat yet.
oh,
Uh,
okay, okay.
so you can print fairly cheaply for like under 10 grand, like a few $1,000s metal printing. Problem is, you still need like an industrial forge to be able to bake and harden the metal because all it
Look,
is just making like the pieces that like in like really weak like fine powder
mm.
metal, and then you still need to melt it together to actually make it one solid
Oh,
like usable
I'll
piece.
just put it in the oven, like 400 degrees.
Yeah, if your oven can melt, like metals, then yeah, if your oven can get to a couple thousand degrees, I think you'd be good.
Yeah, easy, no problem. I'll just be I'll just have like a lot of AR barrels like firing like hell of rounds, and then the residual off heat coming from the barrels is gonna like heat up the metal. Yeah,
Yeah, because it's like it's about 1,200 degrees for aluminum melt. So, but that's the
jeez.
thing though. It's like if you could do it, somewhere down the line, maybe it would actually be affordable to have a metal printer and a forge that could,
Yeah,
cure it and finish it. Then yeah, you could totally fully print a metal gun or metal
yeah,
gun parts, and that would
yeah,
be super cool. Like then the only precision part you would need would probably be like the barrel, and even then you could print a good enough barrel, right? That's like that would survive enough shots for you to, well, get a better gun.
that's why Germany is just so big-brained, banning barrels, or I mean restricting barrels.
Yeah, because like barrel is the only part that you really can't make, right?
Yeah.
Like at home, and even if you get everything else, it's like barrel is going to be the hardest, or you're just going to have to smooth bore.
Wait,
Um,
stop talking. They're gonna learn. They're gonna learn. I mean, barrels are easy, bro. Easy, no problem. Unrestricted, because like anyone can make them.
yeah, that's funny. I mean, now we're getting into like gun control and politics and dumb shit, but that is an interesting topic. It's like if ATF swapped, instead of like the receiver being the firearm register part, like being making a barrels, that would make gun making at home way harder because 80 you can 80% a receiver, you can't 80% a barrel.
Says you.
I'm just saying, like I can 80% with a power drill, not a really good
Dude,
one, but I can
I
80%
can.
an AR or an AK, from homemade and Home Depot parts for.
Dude, easy. In my garage, I can hammer forge barrels, no problem.
You still could, but the barrier entry would be like way higher than
Yeah,
like 80%. Yeah, dude, if they made like 80% barrels, holy shit, that would make gun making so hard. That would essentially kill ghost guns
yeah.
if they just banned barrels. Man, you're right.
Stop talking. Stop talking.
Germany is big brain,
Yeah.
but Yeah, I mean that's 3D printing in a nutshell. I think there's a few more topics, and maybe we'll do an actual deep dive on like just 3D printing guns because there's a lot to talk about still, and there's a lot of cool stuff now, like the FGC9.
What's that?
It's kind of a long way. Um, FGC9.
Whoa, what the hell? It's like a mini scorpion.
Yeah, and you know why it's FGC?
Why?
You know, FGC stands for fuck gun control.
Ah, oh, is this the print shoot repeat guy that
Yeah,
makes it or something?
yeah, yeah. And then there's the Plastikov. There's a lot of like already ready to like print. There's a 3D printed MP5 now. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, I think there's a 3D printed MP5.
Whoa.
There we go. Yeah, 3D printed with binary trigger. Yeah, don't let the ATF see
Damn.
that. And it's pretty good too. Like it's pretty close. Like you know how 3D printed guns are generally like big and bulky or like stupid
Yeah.
looking. Like they're getting there, where it's like it's almost looks like sheet metal or like
Yeah.
stamped guns. So it's like yeah, there you go. Like you could dress it up a little. You could probably pass it off as like a shitty MPX.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, it looks a lot more like an MPX than it does an MP5.
They just say MP5 because it uses MP5 parts to
Yeah.
build it, right?
Yeah.
But the same idea is like you could easy 3D print all this. Yeah, I want to get into it, but again, I don't think I don't not need to, but like I also don't I don't think I have the right skills to 3D print a full gun yet, a working gun yet. I think printing a 9mm upper is a lot easier than printing like a full Glock. I would love to try to print a full Glock though.
Why do you need to print a Glock when you can just buy garter?
I still want to try that. Like, I still really, really want to try that.
Garter's so strong.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think it will work. Like, modern epoxy is strong enough that I
Dude,
think it's like you
for
could do it.
for reference for the people who don't know, this is like Garter is an aftermarket airsoft company that makes like you can buy like a like a reinforced frame for a Tokyo Marui Glock because the Tokyo Maruis are kind of brittle. So they're just like made of like I think like nicer plastics or something. And apparently this
They're ABS.
yeah, some guy bought one of these frames and he basically just put all the lower parts that you need into the Glock and like epoxied it in there and put I think it was a Glock 22, so it was 40 caliber. And he shot like 4 mags through it before the epoxy cracked, but then he just like could epoxy it back in. Like it wasn't like the frame cracked, it was actually just like the epoxy broke. And so it's like I mean, I would imagine you could shoot even more with 9 mil, but that's just wild to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll probably never break if you just make it 22. But yeah, I still want to try it. Yeah, there's some silly airsoft stuff that we probably shouldn't talk about,
Yeah,
like
totally.
KGWM Force. What?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I never heard of her.
never heard of her.
Uh-huh.
What KGWM Force with full auto series?
Whoa.
Who said that?
Early rendition. Now banned. What?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, God, like people will always find a way. I think that's the moral of the story.
That's just because airsoft is way more fun than real guns.
Yeah, because shoot your friends, full auto,
No rules.
no rules. Props to you if you get that reference. If you don't, then you might dig through the histories, and then
Yeah,
see
that's
what we're
actually a
talking
really
about.
hard video to find. I was trying to show somebody the other day, and even I was having trouble finding it in our archives of videos.
How many views does it even have? It can't have that much.
Not that many, but the thing is that like because the title is like super clickbaity and like
Uh,
it basically it doesn't like label it as what it is. So like to
Uh,
me, I was like, oh, fuck, what did we name that video? Because it was like kind of like one of those schizo, like
so
yeah, we were schizo before schizo was cool. Okay.
yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, like we watched it recently, and oh my god, it's just as cringe as I remember it.
Oh yeah. So at least we're willing to openly admit that we're cringe.
Oh no, like we like if the video isn't cringe, I try to inject more cringe. Like
Yeah.
you got to put cringe in it. You can't be
Oh yeah.
serious all the time. That's actual cringe.
All
I'll-
right. On that note, our videos are cringy, and I'm glad you're sticking around with us. You got any final thoughts on 3D printing?
um, yeah, I think it's like I said, I think it's cool. I want to do more with it, and I just wish I just wish I could make it a living. Like I wish I could like use 3D printing. I could like start a business like selling something. So maybe who knows? Maybe I'll just steal 100 concepts ideas and start selling kill flashes. Um, yeah, I wonder if kill flash is registered or trademarked. That's why you can't kill. You can't call them kill flashes. Probably is, but
No, that's interesting. You mean like by are you talking about by aim point or by
I guess not. There's lots of people killing
Church-con?
coal. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
not. Hollow Sun kills them for kill flashes, so I guess it's not. Or I guess maybe they don't like to use the word kill flash because it's got the word kill in it.
Kill in
So
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's too aggressive. Oh, I can't call stuff on my device that kills people using aggressive terms. Oh, I
I'm gonna
gotta
call
call
it
it my
the
I gotta call it my
light
pew pew.
out.
Yeah, light sounds just as bad.
Lights out.
Lights out. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna make one and call it lights out. Okay, we're gonna market it as lights out. Yeah, the aim point lights out. Oh man.
All
But
right. Well, anyway, yeah. So that's what we got for you today. I'm glad once again that you've stuck with us this far and you're listening to our podcast. If you have something that you'd like us to look at and talk about in the podcast, go ahead and put it in the comments below. We're always open to suggestions on
yeah, we're
topics and
totally
stuff.
not running out of ideas and or like scrambling in the last
Bro,
minute to figure
you
out
just
the stuff
you,
to talk about. We got tons of topic. You don't even need to comment.
you're killing this. You're killing my pitch, bro. So yeah, please put whatever suggestions you can think of. Just I mean, doesn't matter how bad or crazy the idea is. We'll get to it. But yeah, anyway, that's what we got for you today.